she saw these pictures that I'd shot in Ravenna, Italy, this wedding that I'd shot in Ravenna, Italy. And that's exactly at the Villa Cimbrone, this place called the Villa Cimbrone. And that's exactly where she was supposed to get married. So she sees these pictures on my website.
And this is the privilege that I have, is that I know he accepts me no matter what I've done, who I am, and anything wrong I could ever do.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of NomadLand. This time around, we got my good friend Kusha, aka Kusha. She went from being an Irvine bad girl to Newport Beach serial entrepreneur. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
I got into it.
That's my new, the serial entrepreneur. That's the new one that gets me. But so good to have you on, Kusha. I've known you for about 1.5 years now, and you've done so much all the way from photography to now you have to do the car talk, and you're just such a fun person to talk to. So, and I always tell Yaya about it. So I thought you're a perfect person to have on the show and do a little chat.
Thank you. I know you and I always have really great conversations. It just sort of flows.
Yeah.
And I actually I was asking Irfan, I'm like, what are we going to talk about? What are you going to talk about?
We never pick subjects, right? It's just kind of free flow. And
well, can we talk about your background really quick? Because it looks beautiful. What is it?
Oh, you're talking to me. You know what? This blue door was my signature door during my photography days, my heydays. And I used to use this all the time. And everybody wanted to get photographed in front of it. And a lot of people did. And this is actually just a part of it. So I just moved this in my room. And right now I was like looking for something. I'm like, where am I going to sit? And so I just sat in front of this, and I figured
it's beautiful. It's got a very Eastern feel to it.
Yeah, like Moroccan Indian vibe.
Even Iranian too.
Yeah.
Firuzeye.
Yeah, Firuzeye.
Yeah.
Chishme bad dur bashe.
Yeah.
So is it true that you were an Irvine bad girl? And
you know what? I was unfortunately, I was an Irvine good girl. Unfortunately, but I grew up. I mean, ever since I moved from Iran, we moved to Irvine. I grew up in Irvine, and then I went to UC Irvine. My parents made sure of that. And then I got married very young, and then I moved to Newport Beach, and I've been here since. So.
What did you study at UCI?
I studied political science and philosophy. I was law school bound. And then I got into the law school of my choice, and I told my parents that I didn't want to go to law school. And you can imagine what happened. They thought like I was telling them I was going to be a stripper or something. They just had they couldn't handle it. So then I said, don't worry, I'm going to go get my MBA. In the meantime, I went and got a job at a computer company. Now, I knew nothing about computer, nothing. I just wanted to get out of the house because I was in trouble. They were not having it. So, and that's actually where I met my husband, believe it or not. And then the minute I met him, I just wasn't going to work at the same company, obviously. Yeah. So I went into banking, and then I worked my way up. And then after a few years, I became the youngest vice president in the private banking sector. I was really young. I was in my late 20s at the time. And then I decided that, I was doing really well. I was on my way up, but it was just not for me. It's just I was miserable. It just wasn't exciting me. I knew that I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. And I was taking pictures on the side, family members, and they would always give me attitude for taking pictures of their kids and, snub me. And then one day I came home and I told my mom, I'm like, listen, I want to be a photographer. And she said, what are you talking about? What is this? She's like, now, is this like Farsi or English? What are we speaking here?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, but whatever.
She's like, okay, Aziza, my name is Junam. I just don't know. What do you mean? And I said, you know what, Mom? I've never, ever embarrassed you guys. I've never done anything I've always walked a straight line. But I'm telling you, this is the first time in my life where I'm not listening to anyone. I'm going to do what I want to do. But I promise you that I won't embarrass you. Whatever I do, I'm not going to embarrass you.
Yeah. That
So,
sounds
of
familiar.
course,
That sounds so familiar.
yeah,
Like,
does that
mine
sound
is always
familiar?
walking the straight line. I was kind of the same thing in a banking background, and then telling parents you want to become artists. And even Yaya, to a certain extent, we all both have that background with that banking, and that we hated it, and yeah.
10 years, 10 years in the game.
No way.
Yeah, 10 years of
What were you guys
Of a
doing in the banking world?
mortgages.
Oh.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were slanging them loans.
Loans. Orange
Yeah.
County, part of the Orange County gang.
Yeah, you guys. Oh, you guys are part of the
Versions
Orange
and
County Mortgage
yeah.
Circle.
Yeah. Well, semi.
So yeah, so then then the dads got involved, and that was like more serious. Like, everyone was like, well, Ma, as someone asked me, and as Cassie asked me, they just thought it was sort of like more bourgeois, like back home, like very, the sweaty photographer that comes in and takes your pictures. They kind of had a different vision. And I remember I was actually at this really fancy relative's wedding, and I was sitting there with like this poofy like designer dress or whatever. My father-in-law kept looking at me, and he kept looking at this sweaty photographer that was running around looking at me, trying to figure out like, how is this going to fit in, right? And at the same wedding, I remember going in the bathroom, and I just quit my job. I was just starting to work. I was really insecure in a way because, I knew everyone was judging me, and I didn't know any girls around me that had done that really. And I was in the bathroom stall, and this girl walks in, and she's a dentist. Now, she has a passion for photography, but she's a dentist. And another girl walks in and says, so-and-so, are you the one that quit their job and starting photography? And she said, oh, no. Oh, God. Why would I ever do that, right? And that was devastating for me because I was already feeling really insecure. I just...
It's like a movie moment.
If I was making the right decision. I'd walked away from this fantastic job that was, I was doing really great. And anyways, I come sort of with my tail between my feet, and I sit next to my mama. And my mom, who's like a powerhouse, she's just always really strong. I sat next to her, and I'm like, this is what happened. I feel kind of like crap right now. And she says, and this is the best advice she ever gave me. And it's like one of those things that I'll always remember that my mom told me. She's like, Kusha, I want you to keep your head up. Remember, you're here right now. You're like down here. And one day you're going to be up here. But in the meantime, as you're going up, there's going to be a lot of naysayers that are going to try to pull you. اصلا نگاه نکن. سرتو بگی جلو، صاف وایسا، برو جلو. همین آدمایی که الان, the same people that are trying to pull you down, that are insulting you, that are giving you like backhanded whatever comments or compliments, whatever, they're going to be the ones that are going to be kissing your behind when you're up here. And that's exactly what ended up happening.
I wish my mom
Who gave you this advice?
My mom. My
Your
mom's
mother.
like, سرتو بالا بگی، اصلا نگران نباش. Just do
What does your mother tell you, Irfan?
What is your mom
today? Still today.
Stability, this, that. But yeah. But her mom's awesome. Manana, I've seen her, like, I've never met her in person. Just through Instagram, and I see she's socialized. She's really funny, So yeah.
Irfan and my mom haven't met, but they have a connection. Yeah. My mom really likes Irfan.
Really?
What's your lyrics, Irfan? My mom is like super. The funny thing is, my mom is like super conservative. Always wanted like the safe route for me. She was really scared. I mean, she was terrified. She was probably even terrified of how people were judging me, but she wasn't letting it on. She knew that I'd made a decision. So she's like, if you've made this decision, do it the right way, But she's actually the most conservative, like she was like, you become a doctor or a lawyer. She was that mom. Don't get me wrong. Like, Vali, she decided to she saw that this was my passion. This is the only time that I'm not listening. Yeah, no, I meant it in a way that not about being conservative, about like, I don't go to my mom with problems or issues. Even when I'm sick, if there's a problem, if there's something wrong with my life, I have to hide it so she doesn't get worried, She won't be the strong one, you know what I mean? So I just like... See, that's the problem. My mom's always been the super strong one in our family. She just carries the weight for everyone. So, and that's awesome. That I think that's really sweet of you that you kind of don't do that. But my mom's just always been so strong, almost too strong, Yeah. That it's just like, what do we just go to mom, that's just what I do. Even at this age, but because she always slaps me with a dose of reality, first of all. She always slaps me. It's just, she tells me as it is, and she doesn't sugarcoat it. And she's not one of those moms that like says, Aslan. She's the first one telling me, you're doing this wrong. Get your act together. Get up, But somehow, I think she's better for me. She's better than any therapist. Her advice just makes sense, and it always works. So
that's awesome.
What is it? What's the right dosage of that advice, would you say, where it's not quite crushing, but it's motivating and inspiring? Where do you think, what is that edge for you? Because oftentimes those advices can be kind of devastating for most children.
It is for me. Like, it's hard to hear. It's hard because my mom does not beat around the bush.
So how do you take the good without the bad?
You know what? I think it's just especially the last, listen, growing up, I think she just gave me so much confidence, that I know she comes from a good place. Like they gave me plenty of love. They gave me plenty of confidence. Like I would walk in the room, and I think that's the best thing to do as a parent is when you walk in the room for your parents' eyes to just light up without them saying anything. When they light up, they give you that energy. They give you sustenance. You know what I mean? So that's the best thing you can do as a parent. You don't have to say, oh, you're so smart, or you're so pretty. I don't say that to my kids at all. I do the same thing that my mom and dad did for me. When they walk in the room, I just go, like, I'm so happy you're here. Look at you. Look at the energy you're bringing in the room. Your presence makes everything better. And they did that for me. So I got that. Now, don't get me wrong. I had all my share of insecurities too. But the last 5 years, I had such an opportunity to work on myself. Because listen, we are so tied to everything on the outside. If you're educated, you're going to be enough. If you marry the right person, you're going to be enough. If he's wealthy enough, you're going to be enough. If you're skinny enough, you're going to be enough. If you're pretty enough, you're going to. And then you do everything, and you're like, no, I'm not feeling enough. I just like you have the image. You've built this image, right? But you just don't feel good enough.
Yeah.
And you're always chasing. You're always chasing for something better because you're hoping that something will complete you. Something will make you enough. And there's nothing outside that's going to make you enough if you feel that way. So
I love that. I really love that. I would love for us to get a point of reference for the people that aren't familiar with the work that you do, including myself. I would definitely love to know a little bit more. So then maybe we can go back to kind of go a little more full circle. Would that be okay?
Go for it.
And I also want to know, I'm interested to know how you guys exactly know each other.
I know.
Yeah, for sure.
I know. That's actually interesting.
We met at a Mehmoni. No, I'm kidding. We should, actually, let's talk about the photography a bit more. Continue with the photography stuff because I think we're going to get there. Like, what happened? So you started doing photography, and how did it take off all of a sudden from zero?
Okay, so if I tell you how I started, it's actually scary. I was at this private gym on the treadmill, and this woman comes up to me and says, we were talking about something, and I said, I do a little bit of photography. And she said, I love your style, your personal style. I've always admired you. Can I see your work? And I didn't have a portfolio. I had nothing. And I said, well, I have a couple of this couple that I shot, which, I showed her the pictures. She's like, I want to hire you for my wedding. Now, mind you, photographer. That was pretty much it.
Like a comedy movie,
And I remember, I had a tiny little SLR. That's all I had. And I had read everything about photography. So it wasn't like I'd gone to school or anything. I just read everything, like Photographer for Dummies, like everything I could find, just to get the technical stuff. But I knew in my head that I just had a vision of how I wanted my pictures to look. I was always obsessed with these 90s supermodels, and I loved fashion. And everybody had pictures of singers on their walls. I had pictures of 90s supermodels on my walls. I was
Cindy Crawford.
Yes, Cindy Crawford was I thought it was her. I thought I was going to grow up to be her.
She's a real one.
Yeah. So I had all these
Got it.
90s supermodels all over my. So I had a vision of how I wanted sort of to photograph people and kind of make them look like something out of like Italian Vogue, you know. And at the time there was nothing like it. Digital photography was just coming in, and so on. So, anyways, everyone told me, listen, you're going to get sued if you shoot this girl's wedding at the Montage. Okay, you can't do this. And they, like, my first job, they paid me like $10,000. My first job, my first gig. That was my first gig. And I, Alon, when I think about, اصلا چقدر من بیخیال رفتم to a wedding and I did this and I pulled this off with like one other person, I can't even believe it. So anyways, it turned out so great that all the wedding party, they were all getting married at the same time. You know how everybody gets married? Anyways, they all hired me. All of them.
What did you do with the $10,000? Did that money mean a lot to you, or did you have like a lot of financial support?
What I did with the $10,000 is I actually invested it in like cameras.
Back in the streets.
And, just anything that had to do with my photography. Yeah. So I made sample albums. Like I went all out and I was like, so they, people started hiring me. It was just like this American circle of Americans, and there were no Iranians in my circle at the time.
Yeah,
so
market.
Yeah, it was just my mark. That was what I was comfortable with.
Newport.
And then these people, I mean, it was word of mouth. And that's something I've learned in banking. If you do a great job, you just need word of mouth. You need nothing else. And people just, refer you to people and they trust you. And so everybody started hiring me. And then before you knew it, I actually, the first Iranian girl that I agreed to shoot, because I was like, I can't. This sounds really bad, but I was like, no, it's not my thing. I'm really comfortable with my American clients, blah, blah, blah. This Iranian woman hired me. And guess what? Her best friend was Juliana Dipandi, who's like Juliana Rancic now, which is from E! News or something. She's like one of these.
Everyone you probably know.
Do you know Juliana Rancic from E!
No.
Anyways, she's big. She's pretty huge. So she saw my pictures. She saw these pictures that I'd shot in Rovella, Italy, this wedding that I'd shot in Rovella, Italy. And that's exactly at the Villa Cimbrone, this place called the Villa Cimbrone. And that's exactly where she was supposed to get married. So she sees these pictures on my website. She calls me, she's like, listen, I've seen, I know. She's like,
you sound so fancy right now, by the way.
Do I really?
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
So no, but I mean, it was a fluke. I'm telling you, it just kept happening, and people just kept they're like, you want to go to Italy? Okay, it just happened that way within like 2 years. I'm telling you. Damn. And so, so she calls and she says, listen, my fiance and I want to sort of like test and see if we want to hire you for our wedding in Italy. And so I shot their engagement pictures, and that was it. They fell in love, and they took me to first class to Italy, to Capri, and their wedding was there. And I got very lucky because they were making a documentary for E! and Style TV or something. And so she had like this 5-minute section on me and Kusha. And she's like, my photographer's Kusha Alagband, and I just wanted Kusha or nothing. And then I came, and this kept broadcasting on E! Entertainment over and over and over again. So then as a result, a lot of other celebrities started coming to me because this just aired. So
you always probably had this level of charisma and presence that you currently do that attracted people to you, right?
Are you saying I'm charismatic? Is that what you're saying?
A little bit, but you still got some proving to do until the end of this episode. But so far, it's great.
Keep me on my
I'm kidding. But I'm sure they saw that. They took notice that. Did you always have that? That auric presence?
I think I've always had that. My dad was an immensely charismatic. My mom is very charismatic. But if you met my dad, like he was just a 6'4" presence, like a force to be reckoned with. So I think you start to pick it up. You kind of pick up your parents' mannerism, demeanor, and they encourage you to be a certain way. And I think we're kind of like performers in my family.
Was it a performance or was it real? This belief in yourself?
I say it's kind of a performance because it's just, I love connecting with people. And when I have rapport with people, where I have good conversations, I just light up. And then I start talking. So you can take it however you want. You can look at
Gotcha.
it as performance or whatever it is. It's not performance. I think it comes from I think anything that I guess del biad be del mishine. So
that's right.
Right.
It'll come across when it's fake and salesy. We know we've always heard people like that. We've met people like that, and it doesn't. You don't connect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And you trusted your work too, probably, right? Like your work must have been good.
It had to be. It had to be. I didn't think of my work. I mean, I liked my work actually. I'll be honest with you. I'm much more critical. Back then, I really enjoyed. I just enjoyed the whole journey. It was a very meditative process for me. I was very happy and blessed working. It was the best decision I ever made. And I love that I brought a new style and I was going against, let me tell you something. When I started photography, everybody was making fun of me because they're like, you know, like, what is she thinking, right? And I actually wanted to go and work for these big photographers as an assistant. And I would walk in with my corporate suit because that's just what I knew, like highly conservative. Like I would just walk in and they just looked at me like, like, who is this? Yeah. I didn't look like an artist. I didn't look creative. My friends dismissed me for what, you know, I have so many stories. It got to a point where I would go against all these same guys for jobs and I was charging more. And guess who got the gig every single time? It was me, not them. And I just loved it. I basked in it because they had sort of dismissed me a little bit. So it was kind of fun. Yeah, it was fun to kind of get the gigs. Anyway,
so you went to the top in that career pretty much. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, did you stop just all of a sudden and you got into like, you want to?
No, I never stopped. You know what happened was I took a little break because I had a lot of personal loss in my family. I had a few of my two really young uncles that were like very, very close to me. They passed away in their 50s. They passed away right after each other. My dad suddenly just passed away. Like he just literally one day just passed away. So like every single, and so I just went through a lot of trauma personally. And, you know, I just realized that all these identities that I had adopted for myself, the photographer, the fashionista, whatever they called me in Orange County, whatever it was, that wasn't making me happy. It wasn't
fulfilling.
No, I was miserable. I was miserable. I was empty. I was mean. I was just not a good person anymore. So I wasn't that 18-year-old cool girl that was just innocent, pure, and like full of life and joy. There was no joy in me anymore. And so I just hit rock bottom. I really did. So I just put everything aside for a while. And that's when I got introduced to yoga and meditation and spirituality. And not that I wanted to identify. I didn't want to adopt that as an identity either. You know what I mean? I did it for a while. I just went into this.
But you needed those tools to get back to your heart.
I needed those tools and they saved my life. And they saved my life. And I had a wonderful teacher that kept reminding me that this too is an identity. So be really, really careful.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Because this is the ego. This is also
everything develops an ego, no matter what. It's so smart.
Yeah, so I had a really
lovely awareness. So you were kind of like always checking in to see where you're standing with the identity part and how much of it is healing.
He reminded me. He was very close to me. He.
What was this? Was it like a yoga teacher? Some sort of a sage? Yoga teacher. What kind of yoga?
It was Bikram yoga, believe it or not. I did 7 days of Bikram yoga for like 4 or 5 years. 7 days, never missed a day.
7 days, 4 or 5 years, you were doing that? Wow.
Yeah. And then COVID happened, which I stopped. But I was 7 days.
That's crazy.
Crazy. But you know, in that room, you learn a lot. You actually learn a lot because
I did it for years straight just because I hated it. not every day, but I even interned or volunteered working there.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did that working?
I really disliked it. Yeah, I really disliked it. But I realized this is what I need to go through these postures in that heat, but to find a way to keep a smile on my lips and keep the posture and be balanced. You can take that into life. Right.
Yeah, that's exactly what it did.
Yeah,
you know,
not going back though.
The difference between Bikram and like regular yoga is, you know, regular yoga, you go in, they have the room, like the lights are down, they play some great music, it feeds your ego, they light up some incense, they say some great mantras, and you come out and everything's gone your way, right?
Mhm.
Everything's gone your way, so you're feeling great. And then you're in the parking lot, the car drives right in front of you, cuts you off, and all of a sudden you forget all of that.
Fuck you.
F off her. With Bikram yoga, the lights are on all the way. The teacher's yelling at you. You are staring in the mirror. Most people don't like to see their image, you know. So you're judging yourself constantly. You're in these uncomfortable postures in this heat that you're very uncomfortable with. And you have to learn to make friends with discomfort. Mm-hmm. So once you make friends with discomfort, you come out, you've already had the worst in that room. The car pulls up, they give you the, you know, they give you the middle finger and you're like, then they're done, hello. Yeah. This is great compared to what I just went through. So I think you really can apply it. And I think it's just a matter of, how do you say, like, well, actually, it's just what you said, like kind of smiling through the tension, right? Because then that releases a lot of blocks and releases the energy when you smile through the tension.
And there's also something to be said about chasing difficulty instead of difficulty chasing you, you know, and I think that's part of the Bikram practice is like, all right, motherfucker, I'm coming after you.
It's on.
Right,
it's
right.
On, yeah.
And that gives you a sense of strength and empowerment.
I don't even look at it as chasing. I just look at it as just making friends with it.
There we go.
Just, making friends with it. Just accepting that moment exactly as it is. Just, okay, here it is. Give it to me. I'll smile through it.
Was it helping you lose weight?
Oh,
because it didn't for me. I never lost shit.
Oh, I was in fantastic shape. Listen, I was probably that one person that loved looking at myself. And I never met a mirror I didn't like, by the way.
Never what?
Everyone's...
You said you never what?
And this is the part where people, my Iranian audience, gets really uncomfortable with.
Oh, let's go there, please.
That's a great segue because, you know, Iranian women have, they have, I sense, as a rule, this is a general comment, this is not for everyone, but I feel like they've never learned to fully accept themselves exactly as they are. You know, like we have this image, we all have the image going, you know, like the talk but to fully accept yourself on the inside, say, I'm okay, I'm all right, I'm good, this is great, you know? So when someone says it, they get really uncomfortable with that person.
When someone says it about themselves?
Yeah, like I was feeling great today, and I looked at I've never met a mirror I didn't like. She's a narcissist. Oh
yeah, it becomes a point of projection.
She's a narcissist. And I'm like, nah, I'm just really, really comfortable with myself. And guess what? The good news is when you meet people that are really comfortable with themselves, guess what? They'll be that much nicer to you because they're cool. They're great. They're خودشون آشتی کردن. So then you can make friends with the whole world.
Right.
You know?
It's true. You have a point there, actually. Like I would say 60% of my clinical clients are Iranian women. And the angle that I take usually generally is I'm more interested and curious about exploring everything that you are rather than what you're not. And that's just how I see things. So I naturally go there. And with a lot of Iranian clients, especially the woman in the beginning, there is a sense of, I don't want to go there. Like, why are you exploring this? Let me tell you how broken I am. And I'm like, okay, we can try, but I'm being blinded by your light right now. You know?
I get that. I really, that resonates with me. And I'll tell you, and that's what made me great at what I did with photography because I always saw people's strengths. I saw what they wanted to see, but maybe they didn't. But I saw it right away. And I didn't even see the weaknesses. I just would focus. Right. And you know what? I think that's part of what, if you can, happiness is like that too. If you can focus on what's present instead of what's missing in your life, that sense of gratitude, it brings self-confidence, and it just brings a lot of joy, right?
Right. And it doesn't mean to ignore the shadows. It doesn't mean to ignore the shadows or the egoic stuff, but it's like, let's not forget how beautiful we are. And I think the soul can't be broken. It's only the mind shit that's kind of going up and down. Love that. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
After that, develop a system.
Thank you for adding that layer to it.
Oh yeah, that's what he is. He's a layer guy. Yeah, never mind.
He's a layery guy.
I think the time has passed.
That's so fun. But say it. Let's work through that.
Go back to. I even forgot what I was going to say. I was saying about the whole like glass half full part and like the good things in life. You need some kind of a system to constantly remind yourself of it. And I think everybody develops it hopefully after a certain age.
Yeah, but nothing's worth it. Everything passes. Everything's passing. Sadness passes. Happiness passes.
Yeah.
I
wake up with like anxiety generally most days. It's a newer thing. And I know I have to get out the house. But as soon as I get out the house and I start walking around, I feel great. That's what I do. It's weird. As soon as I walk out of the house, everything's good. Like I forget about everything. And there's nothing wrong in the first place. I just wake up that way.
Because there's nothing wrong. It's just with anxiety, it's actually really interesting. I learned something that really helped me manage because I had so much anxiety.
Me too. At a certain age, I did.
So much anxiety and so much I was just so much in my head all the time, being the perfectionist that most of us are, right? And so I read a piece somewhere that really helped me, and it was talking about how to make friends with anxiety. Really, it's like anxiety is just like and they're like saying, just get rid of the word anxiety. That's such a secondhand label. Like secondhand like label, anxiety. Just get rid of it because that word is just negative. Think of it as just energy. It's just some energy that's just kind of passing by, and it's like your child. It comes in and it says, "Mom or Dad, can I just come and sit with you for a little bit?" And you don't tell your child, "No, you can't come and sit with me," or "You can't come and sleep in my bed," for when they're in the middle of the night knocking at your door. You let them in and you hold them, and so. The way that you don't heal anxiety or other emotions, you hold them like in your loving presence. And the way you do it is you just breathe into it. You breathe into the parts where there's anxiety and you let go of the story of anxiety, what caused the anxiety. And you just sort of breathe into where you think anxiety is in your body. And then وقتی خودش بد بره میره, you just kind of make friends with it again,
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even your anxiety. Sometimes it's other people's anxiety that you're feeling, actually.
Yeah. In my case, it's like in the morning, as I'm starting to wake up, like within 15 minutes, I start saying like, wake up, you have a lot of shit to do. That's what it is. It's more than anything else. Then it's like, I told you to wake up. It's like 10 minutes before I wake up. Around 5 minutes, like, wake the fuck up.
You wake up at like 4 in the morning, Irfan. I know. At 5.
That's a problem I do. I wake up and it's still dark for 2 hours, another 2 hours. I don't know what the issue with that is, but
I love that. I love that you're such an early riser. That says so much about you. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
I get a lot done by noon, then I could have more time to do the things that I want to do, like music and stuff like that. So I think it's necessary in my life.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So how we met? Yeah. Since you asked after that, it was funny. We connected on Instagram, right?
Let me tell you how.
You have a better memory.
Because I actually initiated our friendship.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me a video that Irfan had made for the November massacre last year. And it was a very moving, caring video. And I don't know what you were saying in it. You made a lot of sense at the time. Of my memories is not serving me right now. And I was really just moved by the way he spoke and the authenticity that I sensed in his mannerism. Really, I was really moved by that. And so I actually sent him a voicemail. I think I did. And I said, that was a, great, that was a great video. And I shared it. I think I shared it on I didn't send you a voicemail. I just shared it on my Instagram page. And then I think you, and I was following, and I started following you, and then you followed me back. And that's how we started.
Yeah. She came to LA.
And then I called you and said, Irfan, can you be on my car talk?
Oh, yeah.
And he totally snubbed me, by the way. He completely snubbed me. He did. He's like, yeah, well, no, a lot of people ask me, but no, I don't. I'm just really busy right now. And I usually, my brand is really important. I don't like to talk to too many people. He literally said those words to me.
Not the most gentle response.
No, it was, it was honest, but
kind of destructive.
But you know what? No. I did not expect anything else. I actually was grateful that he was kind enough to answer back, because he could have just ignored it. But I thought, he's a nice guy. At least he gave me an answer, and that's fine. And he'll change his mind. Yeah. And then I think you saw my video with Max, and then you changed your mind.
Did I? I don't think
Max always does it.
I don't know a video with Max who changed my mind about anything. But no, I'm kidding.
Hold on. But before you explain it, I want to know, why do you think the video with Max changed his mind?
Because he called me right after that. He goes, okay, I think I'll do the
Really? I don't know.
Let me get a copy of that. I want to see what you probably saw.
I don't know. I remember she came to LA, but this is way before us doing one.
And then we decided to meet.
We met and we decided to do it. We talked because I got her vibe, and we had lunch and we talked and stuff like that. But then it took almost a year after that for us to actually do the car talk, because of COVID and me going to LA, and me, I'm like,
it was the beginning of COVID. It was like, I know I do. A lot of times I have the intention to make an appointment, but I can't. I'm going to come to OC. No, I didn't come. You come to LA, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, we finally did it. And, it was worth the wait. It was worth the wait.
Was it a good episode?
It was, Irfan came to Orange County, and he said, you know what? I'm going to be in Orange County tomorrow. It was like great notice. I said, and he's like, I'll be there at 10 o'clock.
Usually it's like half an hour, tomorrow is pretty good for me.
And I said, well, I'm working out and I can't cancel my plans. I won't cancel my plans. So you can come and work out with me if you like. And then maybe we can, have coffee or do the car talk or whatever. And he said, okay, maybe I'll come and work out with you. And he did. And he was on time. I was very impressed. He was on time. He did work out. He kept it together. He had been hiking for a couple hours. So that was very impressive.
Yeah.
And then we had we got in the car and we just literally talked nonstop for 45 minutes, and it was perfect. And it just flowed.
Yeah, it's interesting. With her car talks, she gives you her car, you drive her car, and she sits in the passenger seat and records you. So it's like,
what does the insurance policy on that look like? Does it cover the random guest? Serious question.
I have no clue. I hope so.
Anybody that, if you don't live, I know this, but like if you don't live in the same household, it covers. Usually.
So yeah. So you need to be on one of my car talks now. I need to get you on one of my car talks.
It'll be a privilege.
So that was that.
Yeah. And we've been friends ever since. That was the long story. Yeah, it's good because like we usually, sometimes like we check things with each other because like me, like same thing with Saha Gulshan, like we're in tune. We usually think the same way. So sometimes you want to check certain things. I check things with you. Sometimes I check things with Kusha, depending on the subject. Sometimes I check things with Saha, and then to make sure if you're tripping or you're on the right track.
It's actually beautiful. Really interesting. I love friendships that grow over time very organically. There's something really nice about it. Like you slowly get to know each other, and it's just organic and very authentic, and
the trust is earned through time.
Earned over time. For me, that's really important. I'm really wary of people that just get in and they're just all compliments, and they think you're the greatest person on the planet, and they call you. I think it's the best friendships, the best relationships happen over time.
Yeah, but at the same time, something about like some people, you know, they say you click with instantly.
Of course,
But
I do that all the time,
I'm like that. Some people kind of can't talk with anybody for long periods of time. I can't do that. For me, it's difficult. I might know someone for 10 years, and I'd be in the car next to them. It's like conversations are like forced. You know, I can't. I'm not good at small talk. Maybe I've gotten much better at it through.
That's different.
Work and stuff, and just age, and just having to communicate with people and different like positions. But still, it's just like I hate that you have to talk.
Nah, that's different. Baby, you have chemistry with people. You have certain chemistry with people you don't. You know, or like conversation flows or you don't. That's completely separate. What I'm talking about is just generally, you know, when
no, I know. I wasn't like negating what you were saying. I was just like adding that.
It's okay. I can handle it. I'm a big girl.
You'll see. No, seriously, I was thinking that it's interesting that you connect.
Why is he laughing?
I love the back and forth. It's fun.
He's enjoying it. He's like that. He's like a puppet master. He makes things. And he watches, sits back and watches and enjoys.
Like, let me tell you now what's going on.
No, but I think what both of you guys are saying is true. You know, it's like, and it's not one versus the other. It's like it both ways is true. There's something so beautiful about learning about each other through time, where you can trust it, and it's earned. And then there's something so beautiful about meeting this person that you've never met before, and all of a sudden you're like, I think I've known you my entire life.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that could be a very soulful thing, but still you can't trust it sometimes because it hasn't paid its dues.
Especially when you're super drunk, you can't trust it. A lot of people. But seriously, going back,
I've had a lot of experience.
But seriously, well, I was not negating what she's saying, because I'm on board with that. Like, me and your friendship is a perfect example of that, right? Like, we always talk like when friendships, we're talking about it. Saltav, the Persian New Year, me, him, and our other good friend Nima, we're hanging out. And we're talking about like how something with long relationships, long friendships that are built on like, you know, on realness and really connect with those people. You can't replace it, you know, and you see that like 15 years has passed, 17 years has passed, and you can't talk and be comfortable the way you are with certain people.
Nah, Baba, those friends you have to hold on to tight. Are you kidding? I have like one friend, I have like two friends like that. Two friends, I wouldn't give them up for anything, and they're just like right here, and I trust them, and how much trust, you know, like you've gone through these phases with everyone. They know you, you've grown up with them, they've witnessed everything, you know. You need a couple friends like that have witnessed everything. I actually wrote something about that in one of my captions a while ago, you know.
Especially in my case, I want to say this, that like having friends from before I became like, let's say, if I want to say famous, or like before I started doing music and people knew me, it's different, because when they met me, I wasn't this person. But for other people, like especially Iranians, like specifically Iranians, it's different. When they meet me, they know me as that person. So there is some kind of like a shield, something in between, and it takes time for them to. I don't know if that ever goes away or not, you know. But my old friends, they knew me from before, so it's just different.
There's no agenda. They know you. They accept you exactly. Those are the best kind of friends.
And to be accepted no matter what.
Then you meet some really special people along the way, and if you're lucky, if you can meet more people that you know you resonate with along the way.
Exactly.
So can I hear a little bit more about this car talk?
Sure.
Because I've never seen an episode, so I want to kind of like know about it.
I think when
and forgive me, not that I don't want to, but I also find myself very busy with my world, and I haven't had a chance to.
I love that you're explaining yourself right now. That's so funny. No, I could care less. I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know what I'm getting into. In fact, this is actually the really interesting thing. I remember the first time, you know, Jian Gomeshi from Rook, reached out to me. That's what he said to me. He said, I'm a great interviewer. And the reason I'm a great interviewer is because I do all this research on people. I know everything about them. And by the time I'm doing the interview with them, I ask questions that it just takes them by surprise because they realize that I've done the homework. And so they open up more and they say a lot more to me. Right? He goes, then I look at you in your car talks and it's a mess. He goes, you go in. The person is not particularly hot up. Irfan was more well known, but usually it's people that no one knows. They are
relatively speaking, Irfan is well known. Yeah.
All right, relatively speaking to others, Yeah. Vali.
He's a strong C-list.
Relative Irfan, like Vali.
C-list foreign artist.
Like most of the people, Irfan knows most of the people that I have, like they have private accounts. They're not even like, they're not even public. So it's like you come in and the conversation sort of starts halfway into it. We don't really know anything about the person. They're not famous for us to know anything. But somehow through this 5 or 10 minute conversation, we're nailed. And then by the end of it, we know the essence of that person based on the conversation. So it's not so much information, but more the essence. And I guess that pretty much explains my car talks.
Well, I want to echo that. Let me echo that really quick, because what I'm hearing you say is that there's a sense of comfort that you find in the unknown. It seems like you're not coming with this agenda of what it needs to be and what I want from you. It's like, I'm okay with whatever comes up. And in that, there's a sense of freedom. And in that freedom, the soul comes out and they get to see that authentic thing because you're bringing a level of authenticity.
Because there's no attachment to the result. It just flows. I get short, not short, I'm not short, who cares, we'll go home. Masala. But sometimes when you're not attached and you're not tense, you're not blocking you're not getting in your own way. And certain things come out that are a lot more interesting and more intriguing than you would have ever imagined if you just let it flow. Just let it flow. So yeah. And then sometimes I just always think I'm like, I get 1 minute, one interesting minute. That's all I need. That's all I need. I don't need 10 minutes.
No, I'm already exaggerating.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you can me.
No, I'm not. No.
I'm fucking with you.
I'm the same way with interviews. Like sometimes I do wish in the past with certain guests that maybe I should have done more research about them. But in general, I'm the same way. I like to free flow and like.
I think research is good. Actually, I mean, honestly, his way is the right way. I mean, I'm just lazy.
Yeah.
And I've never. I mean, it's not that I'm lazy. This wasn't supposed to, like, my car talks aren't supposed to be about interviews. They're supposed to be about just free flowing conversation. They sort of come. Whatever comes up, you talk about it, and if it doesn't come up, maybe it wasn't meant to be. That's just my style, but I respect anyone's style, and that's why he is one of the best interviewers, because he does.
Oh, he's amazing.
He's amazing. Really.
And that's what makes Howard Stern so great too. It's the amount of research and the team of research that he has. Yeah.
Oh, I was
in our group, like maybe Yaya's a kind of more of the
Howard Stern junkie when I was growing up.
I've never watched a single.
I think he's the best interviewer I've ever met.
I love that man. I grew up with him. I would just, I would literally have my radio on like 4 a.m. Every morning and just, it's the best. The best. I haven't listened to them. I haven't listened to them in the recent years, but growing up, that's all I was.
Like all parts of the show, the Whack Packers even and all that?
That's interesting.
I love that.
I mean, it was like the best show. I mean,
that's so cool.
Nothing gets close.
Yeah, because to me, I was like, it was weird. I'm like, who is this? Why does he always have strippers on? I didn't get.
It felt filthy.
Oh, the best.
You have to watch. I never watched a single episode, so I always just judged it. Yeah.
How is that even?
I know he's great. I was here, and Yaya always tells me he's amazing, and I know he is, and I know he changed radio. I know all of that, but I'd never. When I was in high school, I remember it would be on. And it would always have like strippers on and like people just doing weird stuff. That's what I saw. I never saw the actual good interview.
But I just loved his line of questioning. I mean, he always just asked questions that you were thinking and you were so afraid to ask. And I just I just loved his authenticity. And I know that he came with a huge, you could tell like this guy has a huge ego and there's a lot going on. But I loved his relationship with Robin. Like I always wanted to have a Robin, you know, like I just loved that it just felt like a family and I just wanted to be part of them.
Yeah, and I mean, he's an interesting case in many ways. So what everyone is also pointing at, where he does have a lot of shadowy stuff. There's no doubt about that.
That's what
makes it good. But he's brutally open about it. He owns his shit, which is really dope. And one of the reasons he became so good, like every question he asks in an interview, every sentence is interesting. And where it comes from is even since when he was a child, like a 5-year-old, when he said something that was boring, as much of a sentence, his parents like, stop talking, you know? So he had to be interesting since he was a kid, sentence by sentence.
That's great.
You know, yeah, because his dad was also a radio host too. So
that part I didn't know about for some reason.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he developed it. Yeah. Out of fear.
Yeah, well, I was also in high school. I was not as open as I am today. A lot of things I was just fuck that. Like I don't want to, you know, I don't like this. You know, I was a lot more judgmental back then.
Are you a lot more open now?
100%.
Do you feel like you're like a lot more flexible?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, a lot more. Farsi getting in a tough pazir. I've been with the wind, you know. I could I'm a lot more accepting of and I've been for a long time. This is when I'm talking. I was like 16, 17, 18, 19. I was like more rigid about my thoughts and what I think and what is good and what is not. Music, rappers, anything, anybody, like food, politics, whatever. But now I'm like a lot more easy and accepting.
How did you guys meet?
At a Memoni.
Or you?
We met through mutual friends because I lived in Irvine. So at that time it was like Irvine Persian crew kind of, and then the Mission Viejo Persian crew.
So you were OC too? You were a part of the OC crew too, Yaya?
He still is. He still is.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh,
till the day I die too.
Very nice.
Who's in the house? Oh, we used to do that at some point, like after parties, like in Orange County. Like, who's in the house? OC, like.
But yeah, Orange County raised for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long have you guys been friends for?
I think 18, 19, 20 years, something like that.
So what do you appreciate about Yaya most? I'm
about Yaya?
You guys.
On a selfish level or about him? Like on a selfish level?
On a selfish, whatever.
Yeah. It's mostly selfish level, but go on.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. But I could basically always count on him. Like, first of all, I can tell him anything, and I can count on him to think before he gives me an answer, you know? He actually cares. Like, he thinks about it, and then he gives me an answer. You know, it's usually the wrong answer, but he tries. You know? No, usually so that's like really important because a lot of people, they would just say some bullshit to you and pass it, or they're not as insightful as you'd want them to be, and they give you an answer, you're like, okay, I already had like 10 better answers already. So yeah, but other than that, it's just like, you know, I already have 2 brothers, but it's like having another brother that you could just talk to about anything. So that's what I appreciate the most.
Oh, that's very kind, man. I love you.
For sure.
What about you? Yaya? What's so interesting? Like,
I love the slow takeover, which I appreciate, by the way. That's good. That's the interviewer in you is doing the interviewing.
From Irvine back girl to
and I do the same thing on my interviews, so it's okay.
It's actually not. I'm not interviewing. I'm just really
you're interested. You're curious. I know that. I could tell. It's real. And I appreciate the question too, by the way. It's a beautiful question to ask. You know, I've even recently put some thought into this, you know, because everyone can be very annoying at times. I'm kidding. But no, it's like, what's the reason?
It's true.
And what I could say more than anything else, and there's so much to say, and this is the privilege that I have, is that I know he accepts me no matter what I've done, who I am, and anything wrong I could ever do. And you can't say that about too many people. And I would imagine, and I could see it, that he would actually want to be there when nobody else is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's priceless.
Yeah. Don't count on it, but thank you, man.
Yeah.
Don't get used to it.
Thanks, man. One love.
Yeah.
One love.
Oh, that's
I appreciate that.
That is, I think we're all very fortunate if we have one or two people like that in our lives. That is just joy defined for me.
Yeah.
I have my
Who's your number one? Should we bring him on right now? Give him a call. Bring him on. I'm totally kidding.
my best friend that we've been best friends since like our UC Irvine days. And she's that person for me. She's just unconditional. I know she's always there for me, and she's seen me at my worst, and she's still stuck around. So,
have you ever brought her on the show?
She won't. She refuses.
Really?
She's so pretty.
Sure.
She would get me so many followers if she came.
Do I know her?
No, you don't. And you don't know her.
Hiding the good friend, huh? You'd be hiding the good friend.
She actually, I posted pictures of her on my page. But she's just so wise and so patient, and she's my yaya. So she's great.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Ironia.
She is.
Nice.
She is. I know she's like a supermodel that happens to be like the most brilliant person I've ever met in my life. She is like an IQ of God knows, probably like 400. She's very, very bright, very smart. Yeah, very smart.
To have a high IQ, but also be so empathetic and also be so beautiful at the same time is a rarity.
Incredible. Yeah, she is. She's a unicorn. I'm telling you.
Does she have a man?
I'm
kidding. I'm like, does she
have a man? Does she have a? Not at the moment.
Oh yeah.
Do you know someone? No, I'm always trying to like set her up with someone. She refuses. She's like,
I'm not I wouldn't. Shoot me down.
If she knows I'm talking about it right now, she'll kill me.
Can you send us a picture of her so when we can put it on this segment?
She'll kill me. She's so.
Her modeling pictures. Her modeling. Those are public.
But let me tell you something. This woman is absolutely.
She's not going to sue you.
Nah, ولی خب ببین. I'm like. من میترسم ازش حساب میبرم. فکر نکن. Like.
Okay.
But take my word that she's probably one of the most beautiful Persian women. She's beautiful inside and out, like by far.
It's impressive. Yeah. I'm impressed.
I like beautiful people. What can I say?
Describe her looks. I'm totally kidding. Navid, I think it's a good time for you to jump in, brother. What is this, like a marathon where you just give him the thing and he jumps in?
Oh, we can't hear you. You don't have your audio. Because you're probably.
He's on mute. You're on mute.
You're on mute. You're probably
you guys are going to edit this, right?
No wonder you guys weren't laughing with me. No, I'm just kidding. I was doing some facts. I was doing some fact checks with Mensa, and you just mentioned that this hot, beautiful, kind supermodel girlfriend of yours has an IQ of 400. So, quick fact check.
I appreciate that.
The highest IQ ever recorded.
185. I'm kidding. Go.
228 in 1946 by Marilyn Beausavant.
So what does this say about Kusha's IQ?
It says that it's below 120. Let's just put it that way.
That's funny.
It's below 100. Now, you know what? I am such a typical, I am your typical Persian. Yeah, I'm not your typical. I am so typical Persian.
You're like, I love Gormis Abzi.
Actually, I really don't like Gormis Abzi.
What's the top 5 reasons that makes you a basic Persian girl, in your words?
Why'd you squeeze in that word basic?
I know.
It's good for the show. That's what you want, right?
There's nothing basic about me, and that makes me a Persian girl.
That'll be the title of the clip.
I love that, by the way, what you just said. That's funny. And number 2?
Number 2.
You drive a black Benz.
I don't drive a black Benz. I've never driven. Actually, no, I have.
Black BMW?
A white BMW.
I have in the past, but no, I don't anymore. And then what else? You know, الان دیگه نمیدونم الان یه خورده I don't know, I just feel like I'm still kind of like a little bit, I have a little bit of fob in me. I really do. Because I've been in the States most of my life ever since but I just really resonate with the whole Persian culture. Like, I'm so irony. I like I حتی مثلا تو اینستاگرام الان فارسی حرف میزنم و اینا بیشتر فارسی حرف میزنم. I enjoy it because I think it's just richer and it just evokes a lot more emotion. I don't know. I just resonate with everything in our culture, the good and the bad. I don't wear brands that much, so that kind of makes me a little bit.
That's one.
I'm not into that. What are the stereotypes? I don't even know anymore.
I guess materialistic.
I think I am. I think I'm.
So how many Chanel bags do you own?
How many Chanel? I can probably one or two, not many. It was from years ago. I stopped that stuff. I had all that. Right. I'm just not into that stuff as much anymore. It doesn't define me. So
that was the Irvine bad girl phase, and after that, she slowly started like.
No, you know what it is. You know what it is. I think you go through a phase. I went through a very successful phase. I was, doing really, really well. I got all that stuff out of my system, but I realized that it didn't really add much to my happiness. It was temporary, and I think a lot of times we do it for other women, more than anything else. And then once I became more grounded, once I found joy in other things, that stuff just took. I mean, it's still, I still enjoy I still enjoy fashion. But it doesn't define me, and I don't have to. I think you don't have to, for example, with brands, you don't have to have brands. I think being stylish is about being creative. You have to, if you have creativity, you can do so much. You don't need to wear the most expensive clothes or all that stuff.
You don't have to try too hard.
I'm not being very articulate right now. I'm sorry, but.
No. I totally agree with you. Because a lot of people do think looking good or dressing nice is just wearing extremely expensive clothes.
It's not.
And you could wear the expensive stuff in a way that you're going to look like shit. You don't know where.
Not at all. Aslan. In fact, these days, if anything, I wear a lot of, I'm starting to wear a lot of.
So what are you wearing right now? Like using the red carpet stuff? I'm totally.
Yeah. Who are you wearing right now, Kusha?
پولیس مثلا $20 از کورین استور خریدم پوشیدم براتون رنگش قشنگ بود گفتم it's gonna be really nice. No, when you going back to the five qualities of a Persian girl, نمیدونم واقعا I don't know what the stereotypes are. I couldn't tell you.
Sensitive subject, cancel culture and everything. It's dangerous.
Go for it. Knock yourself out. Talk to me.
Yeah, trying to articulate what we each individually would list those 5 things could be a really bad reflection on us and how we think, right?
So you have to think twice about saying it. So you guys are not that unfiltered on this podcast.
Or you could just make a little bit of your own. I mean, Persian guys wearing black would be one, right?
Sure.
Are you talking to me? Are you asking me?
All black.
These 2 guys.
It's funny. I was actually gonna wear like what is it like
Polo shirt.
No, I was gonna wear the jersey. And then I'm like, okay, Kusha's on. I should be like a little more proper.
Oh, that is so nice. You know what? I take that as such a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I don't even stereotype Persian guys that much. I've had such great experience with like Persian men all my life, like the people that have been around me. Like I don't know.
You know how to pick them.
So you've never been to one of those parties where at the end of the night, a group of guys with spiky hair yell, "Who's in the house?" OC. Ever?
No, I haven't.
Interesting.
Thank God. No.
She had moved on to Newport Coast like early on enough.
They're very proper. No, Newport Coast, they just don't have any parties. That's the problem. We're antisocial and then this hill.
And on that note, I think unless you guys have anything to add, I think that's a perfect way to end the podcast. Is there anything you want to add, Kusha, June, or Navid, if you have any questions, or Yaya, you have anything to add?
I just want to say it was a pleasure speaking with you. You have a beautiful, radiant aura. I can see why Irfan loves you so much. I can, because he's a hit or miss when it comes to people, but with you, he's got it right. And I mean that though. I mean not the Irfan part, but it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, and I want to thank you
the pleasure was all mine. I'm so happy to meet you. I hope to get to have you in my car one of these days.
Absolutely, and I won't negate you the way Irfan did.
You gotta get Irfan and you in the car.
You don't want him. You don't want him driving, Kusha Jun. I'm just saying.
You drive, Irfan. Why don't you drive? I'll sit in the back.
I drive. You guys talk. Yeah.
Navi Jun, it was very nice.
Don't get on the freeway.
Likewise, Kusha Jun. Thank you so much for making time today.
Thank
you.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Subscribe, everybody, and until next time.